Midnight at St. Haven's ER was the kind of stillness where nurses count seconds and monitors breathe for patients. Then the ambulance hit the bay doors like a verdict. A Navy SEAL lay inside, 3 bullet wounds spaced too perfectly to be random. Doctors swarmed, hands shaking, orders colliding, rapid transfusion, clamp it. He's crashing, but every intervention made him worse. No surgeon on site, someone choked out. That was the moment she stepped forward. The rookie nurse no one trusted with anything sharper than paperwork. She tied her scrub sleeves back, voice steady. Clear the table. Not a plea, a command. Her extraction was too clean, too controlled. 1 bullet, then the second, then the third, each lifted intact without a single artery tear. The room stopped moving. A resident whispered, "No nurses trained for that." She didn't answer. She just placed the final round into a sterile tray. Evidence untouched. Within an hour, the FBI lined the hallway, not looking for shooter intel, but for the medic who pulled off a surgeon's miracle. When they learned she wasn't a surgeon at all, not even close, the entire ER realized they hadn't just witnessed skill. They'd seen a ghost return to duty. Before we begin, take 2 seconds to comment, "I'm watching," and hit subscribe. It tells the algorithm you stand with the silent heroes no one sees coming. Midnight at the ER wasn't loud. It was that strange, humming quiet that only exists between exhausted night shift vitals and the vending machine buzzing. Lily Brennan, rookie nurse, clipboard carrier, chart runner, hallway shadow, was restocking saline when the ambulance bay door slammed open with a force that made even the heart monitors jump. 2 paramedics rushed in, drenched in sweat and urgency, pushing a stretcher so fast it clipped the doorframe. A Navy SEAL in torn tactical gear lay strapped to the gurney, chest soaked where 3 distinct bullet impacts had bloomed, dark and unforgiving. Not wild gunfire, not random street aim, surgical violence, deliberate, centered, methodical. Every point of entry sat near vital structures. Gunshot triple pattern, no exit wounds, vitals crashing, the lead paramedic barked. Trauma staff swarmed, gloves snapping, carts rolling, the ER's sleepy pulse turning into pure adrenaline. Dr. Marcus Shaw, veteran night physician known for strict, icy calm, took point. Bolus wide, airway prep, push O2 past 90. But every time they pushed fluids, the SEAL's numbers fell further. His breath grew shallow, pupils glassy, skin losing what little colour combat hadn't already taken. Shaw pressed hard against the main wound, sweat beading. "We need vascular isolation now. Where the hell is the on-call surgeon?" A tech swallowed. "He's out, stuck in transport from regional hospital. 40 minutes minimum." 40 minutes, Shaw snapped. He has 4. They attempted compression, saline, rapid transfusion, but the monitors kept screaming their refusal. Blood pooled in tight crescents around each entry point. Too deep to clamp, too dangerous to guess. Shaw's calm cracked. "We're losing him. This pattern isn't street ballistics, it's professional." Lily stood frozen at the supply cart, knuckles white against sterile gauze. She'd seen patterns like that before. Not in training, not in civilian rotations. In dirt, dust, blackout tents, and medevac birds that shook like dying beasts in desert wind. Shaw's grip slipped. The patient seized with a violent jerk, tubes rattling. A second doctor jumped in, voice cracking. "Pressure isn't holding. Arterial breach. Possible pericardial involvement. We need vascular surgery now." The SEAL's vitals dove. The tone became one single flat demand for answers. Lily stepped forward. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just forward. "Clear your hands," she said quietly. Shaw didn't look at her. "Brennan, not now. Back up," another nurse hissed. "She's a rookie. She can't—" "Clear your hands," Lily repeated, soft but unyielding. Her voice didn't shake. Her posture didn't doubt. She wasn't a student. She wasn't trying. She knew. Shaw faltered, caught off balance. Not medically, but by something older than rank. Lily tied her scrub sleeves up, fingers steady, and picked up instruments no nurse on paper should even know how to handle. She cleaned contact zones, isolated entry points, calculated depth not by machine, but memory. He's drowning internally. Bullets are lodged tight, too deep for clamp pressure. Shaw stared. "What are you doing, Brennan?" She didn't answer. She incised. Not deep, not reckless, but with perfect distance. Extraction wasn't textbook. It was field medicine. Combat, quiet trauma calm. She ventilated pressure pockets, rebalanced bleeding angles, and exposed the first round without shattering casing. One bullet slid free, not crushed, not fragmented, intact. The room was silent. Even the monitors seemed to hesitate. Shaw whispered, "That isn't possible." Lily moved to the second wound. Same calculation, same unwavering breath. She aligned compression dilation, rotated just enough, and lifted the round hole. A nurse backed up, hand over her mouth. 2 bullets intact meant evidence preserved, rifling marks untouched. It meant whoever fired them could be identified. Lily placed the second round into the tray. Shaw's throat tightened. "Brennan, how? Where did you learn?" She didn't blink. "Third one. We don't have time." She adjusted angle. This one sat dangerously close to arterial wall. Anyone else would rupture it. She didn't. Wrist locked, forearm steady, pressure exact. She extracted the third without a tremor. 3 bullets. 0 fragmentation. 0 artery tears. The seal's vitals stabilized. Not recovered. Stabilized. Enough for breath to return. Enough for the monitors to stop screaming. Lily sealed, cleaned, dressed, repressurized flow, and stepped back. Shaw wasn't staring at the seal anymore. He was staring at her. A tech whispered, "No nurse does that. No surgeon does that clean." Lily wiped her gloves, expression flat, heartbeat unreadable. Behind them, near the doorway, a shadow lengthened. A badge glinted. Not security, not hospital admin. FBI. 2 agents stepped into the ER, voices low, eyes not on the patient, but on the sealed tray holding 3 perfect ballistic truths. "Who performed the extraction?" one asked. Shaw opened his mouth, then closed it. Everyone shifted. Everyone stared. The rookie nurse didn't move, but the agent's gaze had already found her. "You. We need to talk." And that was the moment Lily Brennan realized tonight wasn't about saving a Navy SEAL. It was about resurrecting the part of herself she swore the world would never see again. The agent reached for the bullet tray, paused, and whispered to the lead. These weren't meant to be recoverable. The SEAL was moved to ICU with soft wheels and silent panic. Nurses whispered behind clipboards. Doctors avoided eye contact with her. And the night shift, normally ruled by coffee and routine, felt like a classified briefing without clearance. Lily Brennan washed her hands slowly, methodically, scrubbing away blood that didn't feel like it came from tonight. Shaw approached, not angry, not impressed, unsettled. "You handled those rounds like an extraction tech, not a nurse." She didn't answer. If she confirmed, she violated the very silence she built her civilian life around. If she denied, she'd be lying to a man who now knew too much. ICU glass doors hissed open. 2 FBI agents, suits dark, badges silver in low sterile light, waited beside the ballistic tray like priests guarding relics. The woman leading them, Special Agent Victoria Hayes, didn't waste words. "Bullets. Now." When Shaw hesitated, Hayes corrected him without raising her voice. "Chain of custody, doctor, not debate." Lily stepped forward and passed the evidence. The agent paused, eyes on Lily's gloves, not the tray. "You removed all 3, Shaw jumped in, "under my supervision." But Hayes cut him with a single raised brow. "We'll speak privately," she said, to Lily, not to him. They moved into the consultation room, blinds half drawn, hospital hum distant. Hayes set the evidence case on the table. "Extraction marks intact. Near 0 casing damage. That's tier training, not nursing school." Lily remained still. Silence was safer than accuracy. Hayes leaned closer. You were special operations medic. I don't need confirmation. I already pulled the sealed flag on your file. Lily's heartbeat slammed once. The cost of her old life was supposed to be total erasure. That was the only way to leave without consequences. But I don't care about your discharge, Hayes continued. I care about who fired at a Navy SEAL 3 times with assassination clustering and expected the rounds to stay inside him. Lily looked at the tray. They were meant not to exit. They were meant to kill clean. Internal collapse pattern, Lily finally said. Weighted tip, low ricochet, almost no spin. Designed for silent kills, indoors or short range. Hayes didn't blink. So this wasn't random, not a mugging. Lily shook her head. No, this was target elimination. Whoever fired them knew exactly where to place each shot. They trained. ICU alarm chirped softly, as if confirming her words. The SEAL, call sign tracker, slid in and out of sedation. 2 nurses adjusted lines, soft murmurs, controlled breaths. When Tracker's eyes opened for a fraction, he didn't look at Dr. Shaw nor at Hayes. He found Lily. Recognition flickered, not from memory, but from instinct. You pulled all 3? His voice cracked. Lily nodded once. Tracker whispered. Then I'm not alive because of luck. Shaw stepped back, shock softening into respect. Why did you ever leave Trauma Command? He asked, voice gentler now. She stared at Tracker, not him. Because sometimes saving one person means losing the one you couldn't. Hayes didn't interrupt. She just studied the rookie who wasn't a rookie, the medic, who wasn't supposed to exist in hospital databases. Your extraction-preserved rifling, Hayes said finally, will match the shooter in hours, not weeks. Lily nodded, but her jaw tightened. She hadn't touched a live extraction since the desert, on a helicopter floor slick with sand and blood, and a heartbeat she couldn't restart. A technician burst into the room with results, breathing fast. Mum, the metal composition isn't commercial, not military issue either. It's hybrid, experimental. Hayes frowned. Last commander who investigated hybrid ammo trafficking died in transit. She turned to Lily. What you saved tonight wasn't just him. It was an entire investigation that almost died with him. Tracker stirred again, oxygen mask fogging. He knew my route, knew my unit rotation. I didn't tell anyone. Lily's voice lowered. Then someone embedded had your schedule. The room's temperature dropped without changing degrees. The bullets weren't just assassination. They were silencing attempts. You just turned a soldier's survival into federal leverage, Hayes said. You gave us what every agent fails to get. Clean evidence. Lily stared at her gloved hands. They didn't shake. They never shook in war. They didn't tremble now. But something inside her, long buried, shifted. The calm of someone who has already lost too much settled back into her bones. She had promised her partner's grave she'd never hold an extraction scalpel again. Tonight, she broke that vow. Tracker whispered through the mask, weaker now but clear. Don't disappear again. Whoever you were, we need you. His words slid under every layer she'd built to stay invisible. The ER that called her rookie, the hospital that looked through her, the world that believed she retired into nothing. All of them watched her step into what she swore she'd never be again. The blinds rattled softly as Hayes closed the file. We will need you again, not as nurse, as what you were. Lily didn't nod, didn't answer. She simply looked at Tracker, alive against all odds, and understood this night was not a return. It was a reckoning. Comment. Never judge if you believe skill doesn't vanish just because someone tried to bury their past. The ICU lights dimmed to late-night levels, the hum of machines blending with oxygen rhythm. Quiet, but never peaceful. Tracker was stable, but guarded. 3 bullets out. Vital organs spared by skill, not timing. Lily charted silently at the workstation, aware of every curious stare passing glass panels. Before tonight, she was invisible. Now, invisibility was impossible. Dr. Shaw approached with a chart he didn't need to hold. "They're not here for him anymore," he said quietly, eyes on the FBI silhouettes beyond the door. "They're here for you." Lily didn't look up. "I'm not part of their case." Shaw exhaled. "You are the case." Agent Hayes entered ICU with the soft authority of someone who didn't need raised voice or badge, flashed to own a room. "Brennan, we have a match." She clicked open a classified tablet, screen angled away from tracker, though he slept. Ballistics found the maker, ammunition black-marketed through covert channels. Lily's jaw tightened. She knew that world. The brokers who spoke in code, currencies that weren't financial, missions that weren't acknowledged. Hayes continued. "We traced 2 previous hits with the same alloy signature, both federal targets, both dead on impact. Your extraction tonight is the first intact retrieval." Lily closed her eyes for one steady breath. That meant the target tonight wasn't just a soldier in a bar fight. It was a strategic kill. Tracker stirred, eyelids fluttering. Hayes lowered her voice. "He wasn't shot for rank. He was shot for what he was transporting." Lily leaned in. "Intel." Hayes nodded once. "Encrypted courier drive. Tactical clearance level blue. It was supposed to arrive at base by morning. It never did." Lily looked to Tracker, whose breathing hitched at the edges of sedation. So, whoever wanted him dead wasn't covering rage or politics. They were cutting transmission. Hayes didn't confirm. She didn't need to. A rustle broke the conversation. Tracker blinked awake, mask fogging. "I didn't lose the drive," he rasped. Lily moved to steady his IV, voice soft. "You're safe. Save your breath." Tracker didn't. They waited. They knew my landing window. Hayes's eyes sharpened. "Someone internal leaked your route." Tracker swallowed hard, wincing. "Not internal. Embedded." Lily's chest tightened with recognition. The kind that tastes like old battlefield sand. Embedded didn't mean insider. It meant ghost agent, contractor, deniable element. Shaw stepped out of the shadows he'd been hiding in. "How long was he without trauma oxygen before arrival?" Lily answered without looking at the chart. 6 minutes, 41 seconds. Compensated shock. He held until he couldn't. Tracker managed a broken laugh. "You counted like we train." Lily froze, not visibly, but in memory, counting vitals under mortar fire, counting seconds until airlift, counting compressions on the soldier she lost. Hayes watched them, her gaze not unkind but forensic. "Brennan, I need your debrief. Not military, not personal, technical. How did you extract 3 shots without casing damage?" Lily met Hayes's stare, expression flat but truthful. "Because the last time I fractured a round, the shooter walked free." Tracker's breath hitched, not from injury, but recognition. Grief disguised as perfection. Hayes flipped the tablet again. "You left active duty 6 years ago, yet your skill hasn't degraded." Lily's voice dropped. "Leaving doesn't undo muscle memory." Shaw stepped closer, softer than he'd been since she arrived months ago. "Why did you hide your level of certification?" Lily didn't answer right away. She looked at Tracker, scarred, sedated, still wired for mission even half alive. "Because the world outside war expects you to forget what you learned in it." A silence filled the ICU, not heavy, but reverent, like hospitals sometimes become chapels. Then Hayes broke it. "We located the shooter." Lily's eyes sharpened. "Already?" Hayes nodded. "He was found dead 2 blocks from the ambush site. Suicide shot." Tracker exhaled shakily. "Then he didn't work alone." Hayes agreed. "That's why we're still here. We need someone who thinks like the person who pulled those rounds out." Lily backed away from the bed, pulse steady, but breath thin. "I'm done being that person." Hayes didn't move. Tonight says you're not. Lily's jaw set. Tonight says I was needed. That's different. Tracker opened his eyes fully now, voice scraped but steady. You saved me like you saved the ones before. Lily looked at him, not as medic to soldier, not as nurse to patient, but as someone who remembers loss as vividly as extraction technique. Footsteps echoed. Admin, agents, night staff, curious eyes, all converging without entering. Hayes lowered her tone. You know, we're not finished. Whoever planned this, new protocol, flight path, extraction windows, he didn't die alone. Someone cleans data for him. Lily stared at her gloved hands, spotless now, but history still staining them more deeply than blood ever could. You don't need a medic, she said quietly. You need a hunter. Shaw's breath caught. Hayes didn't deny it. Tracker didn't either. Outside the ICU glass, the bullet tray remained sealed, guarded, glowing under sterile light like evidence and confession both. Lily stepped toward the door, intending to leave, but Hayes's final words stopped her like a command she'd sworn she'd never obey again. He died in your hands once. Don't let this one be a repeat. Lily froze mid-step as monitors softened into a steady living pulse behind her. Tracker whispered through fogged oxygen. If you walk out, they win again. Lily didn't move when Tracker's words settled into the sterile air of ICU. If you walk out, they win again. There was no tremor in his voice, no plea, just a factual sentence spoken by someone who had lived too long under chain of command realities. If the medic leaves, the mission bleeds out. If the witness disappears, the case collapses. If the bullet extraction isn't documented properly, the shooter's network resets with new names and no consequence. Agent Hayes stepped into the line of sight, not blocking Lily, aligning with her. He's right. The person who placed those rounds didn't intend just to kill him. They intended to erase him. Lily still faced the door, body angled toward exit, mind angled toward memory. She didn't turn back when she spoke. He shouldn't have lived, not with those placements. Hayes answered without pause. That's why you were necessary. Necessary. Not heroic, not gifted, not talented. Necessary, the way a scalpel is necessary, the way a controlled explosion is necessary, the way certain professionals enter a room to prevent greater loss. Not because they want to, but because the alternative is unspeakable. Behind them, Tracker eased into steadier breath, monitors translating life into numbers. His eyes didn't close this time. He watched her, awake in every way that mattered. Hayes tapped her earpiece. Ballistics lab report. Now. Within seconds, faster than hospital protocol ever moved, 2 agents rolled in a forensic cart with a sealed containment box. The 3 bullets lay inside, separated, tagged, scanned, marked, and logged in chain of custody alignment Lily knew too intimately. They were numbered by impact order, Hayes explained. Tracker blinked, meaning he didn't fire until he had angles. Hayes nodded. And intention, not chaos. Lily turned finally, not to engage, but to correct. Each shot was placed with controlled spread tension, 1 centimeter variance, not random, not emotional. Hayes's jaw flexed. You've seen this before. Lily didn't deny it, didn't confirm it. She simply stated, this pattern kills in controlled collapse. Internal breach, no exit, no trace if the surgeon fails. One of the agents at the table, Walker, younger, eager, not yet hardened, whispered, except she didn't fail. Hayes silenced him with a glance, not because he was wrong, but because reverence didn't belong in forensic procedure. We traced the munitions to a syndicate, Hayes continued, contract-based final hits, outsourced to specialists who don't answer to flags or ideologies. Lily absorbed it with no surprise. They'll move now, she said. Hayes nodded. Yes, they already have. Outside the ICU glass, Dr. Shaw hovered, unsure whether to step in or disappear. When Lily acknowledged him with the smallest nod, he entered, not with superiority this time, but with caution. "I spoke to command," he said, voice controlled. "They want a statement from you, not about tonight, about your qualifications." Tracker almost smiled, curved, fragile, but real. "She won't give them what they want." Lily didn't respond. Shaw adjusted his grip on the chart. "They're not looking to punish you. They're trying to understand you." "You don't need to understand a scalpel," Lily answered. "You just use it until it's dull." Tracker flinched, not from pain, but recognition. Hayes didn't correct her. She didn't soften it. She merely logged it. "You extracted 3 bullets," Hayes said, "but you also extracted something else, their anonymity." That was the part Lily had been avoiding, the consequence she delayed by walking through civilian doors and hiding behind procedural charts. "When word gets out," Tracker said, "you won't be a nurse anymore. Not in their eyes." Lily held his gaze. "I didn't become a nurse for their eyes." No one argued with that. Agent Reynolds returned, carrying a tablet with encrypted case files. "We recovered footage from a convenience store 1 block from the ambush." He tapped play. Grainy but clear. 2 figures flanked Tracker on the sidewalk, one speaking without lips moving, the other positioned exactly where ballistic entry later aligned. "They rehearsed," Lily said. Hayes exhaled. "Worse. They shadowed him for 6 days." Lily stepped closer, eyes narrowing, not with emotion, but with operational detail. She replayed angles, distances, window reflection, gate. Suddenly she pointed. "There." Hayes rewound. "The shooter reset stance before firing," Lily continued. "Weight shift left to right, narrow heel angle. That's military discipline, not hired street muscle." Tracker inhaled slow, horror blooming in realization. "Someone trained him." Hayes nodded. "Not just trained, briefed. He knew your debrief location, your transit vehicle, your medical fallback route." Tracker shut his eyes. Not weakness, but clarity. "It wasn't a leak," Lily said quietly. "It was a relay." Hayes' stare sharpened. "Say it in operational terms." Lily turned to Tracker, not the agents. "Your shooter wasn't trying to erase evidence. He was trying to intercept intelligence handoff." Hayes confirmed with a grave nod. The room felt smaller now, not because of bodies, but because of truth. Extraction was no longer about saving a seal. It was about saving whatever the seal carried that was never supposed to surface. Lily stepped back from the table, needing distance from the bullets she'd lifted with steadier hands than she now felt. "You don't need me anymore," Hayes countered instantly. "We need you because you see what everyone else refuses to." Tracker softened. "Because you care beyond protocol." Silence settled, not heavy, but surgical. No word wasted, no comfort offered. Lily walked toward the door again, this time with certainty rather than escape. Hayes didn't stop her. Tracker didn't beg. Reynolds didn't threaten jurisdiction. She hadn't stepped away from duty. She had simply completed tonight's version of it. Lily reached the courtyard before sunrise, the hospital quieting behind her into tired fluorescent memory. She sat on the bench, envelope unopened, not because she feared what was inside, but because she already knew what it meant. Once you've been necessary, you don't go back to invisible. Footsteps approached. Hayes didn't speak right away, just sat beside her with the same deliberate stillness she carried into interrogation rooms. "The cell is already moving," she said. "Off books, no flag. They'll change methods after tonight." Lily nodded once, staring at the pale morning sky. "They expected a surgeon," she said, "not someone who remembers how to operate by flashlight and heartbeat." Hayes' reply was measured, almost clinical. "They expected anonymity. You removed it." The envelope remained between Lily's fingers, light, thin, but containing a future she had sworn not to reopen. Tracker's voice carried faintly through the courtyard doors. Steady now. Alive. Now. "You didn't fail him, he called softly. Not this time. Not any time. Lily didn't turn. Loss doesn't erase skill, she said, but skill doesn't erase loss either. Hayes stood, but her voice softened just enough to make truth audible without. We're not asking you to come back, just not to disappear. Lily let out a long breath. Not surrender, not acceptance, just recognition. She looked down at her steady hands, at a dawn that felt too clean for what the night had asked of her. For tonight, she said, I stayed. That's all I can promise. Hayes nodded once, and that was enough. If you're still here listening, then don't scroll away. If you believe quiet heroes exist long before anyone sees them, subscribe, stay, and tell this algorithm they matter.